I'm Chris Glover, welcoming viewers from across Ontario tonight with a story affecting several parts of our province. Dangerous roads over this long weekend, including multiple crashes in the GTA, one involving a motorcycle that was fatal. And in Ottawa, a high-speed crash killed a talented young goaltender, tonight being remembered as a tremendous kid by his local junior hockey team. Natalia Goodwin has more.
This is the spot where the fatal collision happened late Friday night on Highway 417 at the Highway 416 southbound ramp. It claimed the life of two men. One 27, his identity has not been released. The other 24-year-old Creed Jones. Originally from Peterborough, he played as goalie for several junior hockey teams, including in nearby Gatineau and for the University of Ottawa. It's left those who knew him in the hockey community shaken.
It's difficult to say how much we love Creed, how much we still love him, and how much we shake by his death, because it was a tremendous kid, a kind of kid that when you cross that kind of life, that kind of human being, you can be sure that he's unique.
The crash was one of several across the province last week. On Wednesday, two motorcycle riders died in a head-on collision with a vehicle in Kingston. And in the GTA, 5 riders were killed in separate collisions, all in just a week's time. Motorcycle safety advocate Jessica Whitaker, who lost her brother in a crash, says that's just too many.
It's an incredibly high number, and it's really heartbreaking to see year after year. It's been 8 years since my brother passed. And, once April or May hits, this just keeps happening.
Whitaker would like to see road signs to help people watch out for motorcycles. The Ontario Provincial Police say on Friday both motorcyclists were traveling at high speeds and say these types of collisions are preventable.
Well, in general, if you're driving a motorcycle, obviously you've got to wear your helmet and the rest of the safety gear that you have. Drive at the speed limit. You don't need to get somewhere faster if it's going to cause an accident. To the other motorists that are driving the cars, make sure you're keeping an eye out for the motorcyclists because they are smaller, they're not as easy to see.
The OPP are still investigating Friday night's collision that happened here in Ottawa, but say it could be several weeks until they have a cause. Natalia Goodwin, CBC News, Ottawa.
In London, the body of a 7-year-old girl who went missing has been found near Western University's campus. Anna Bielli went missing along the Thames River last Thursday, prompting a large-scale search and rescue operation. Police say her body was found just after 1 p.m. on Sunday, more than 3 kilometers downstream from where she was last seen. A GoFundMe page launched by a family friend has raised more than $3,000 as of late Sunday afternoon. A tornado touched down in Port Colborne today, ripping through and devastating a horse farm. Environment Canada confirming the tornado touched down in the Lake Erie area earlier today. Niagara Police assessing the property damage of the farm, saying there are no injuries. And on Tuesday, an Environment Canada survey crew will be assessing the extent of the damage caused by the tornado. And Chris Potter is here now. Chris, we've been seeing some unsettled weather, certainly this afternoon.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously the big story is the confirmed tornado right now. It's up to Environment Canada to send a team, and they're going to actually investigate the damage. That's how you classify how strong a tornado is, by unfortunately looking at the damage. And it happened just before the noon hour. The thunderstorm developed very rapidly over Welland, and then it continued to migrate its way east of Port Colborne and in towards Fort Erie. And at this point, just judging by the photographic evidence that I've been actually able to see, it looks like to me a low-end EF1 with max sustained winds above 135 kilometers an hour to 175 kilometers an hour. We'll bring it stateside as well. We have a tropical storm right now, Debbie. It moved towards the Florida Panhandle earlier this afternoon, and it continues to migrate very slowly to the north. And why am I bringing this up? Because this is a big traveler concern. Right now it's a strong tropical storm, and it's going to migrate very slowly. And what I mean by that is significant rainfall through Florida, through Georgia, through the Carolinas. It moves towards the mid-Atlantic states as we get into Saturday and Sunday. And by that point, some of that moisture will begin to at least try to move into southern Ontario. We're not talking about significant rainfall like the last time we had a tropical storm move across the U.S., but we're still talking about at least the potential of some indirect effects in the form of showers Friday as well as Saturday. In terms of daytime highs, a touch cooler than it has been. Yesterday as well as Saturday, we had daytime highs climb up towards 30. Today it was more, we'll call it seasonable. 26 in the city of Toronto, 21 through Ottawa, and 28 through Windsor. And in terms of where we are right now, we're still in that ballpark. Ottawa's actually at 15 right now with some rainfall moving through the vicinity, feeling like 19. It feels like 34 right now in the city, and 37 towards Windsor. In terms of the active weather, we will start to dry out as we get further into the evening hours across the GTA and all surrounding areas. But another system, another little area of low pressure will be moving in, and that will give us another opportunity for rainfall for the day tomorrow. It's all about timing. The rainfall clears across the region through the evening. We stay dry into the overnight, but another area of rainfall begins to move in towards Windsor before daybreak. The rainfall across the GTA will be primarily during the morning, maybe the early afternoon, and it looks like Ottawa will escape the rainfall risk, if you will, for this time around, at least for now. In terms of what will happen after that, lots of sunshine for Wednesday. And for that matter, we're going to add Thursday on as well. We have lots of sunshine through the morning. A little bit of cloud begins to lift in from the south as we get into the afternoon, but mostly mid to high level clouds, so it looks dry. But like I said, Friday into Saturday, there will be the potential for some showers to move in, and this is going to be remnants of Tropical Storm Debbie. In terms of temperatures for the overnight, around 18 in the city, 21 through Windsor, and 13 for Ottawa. Back towards the 23 for Toronto for the afternoon, 24 for us on Wednesday, 25 for Thursday, so a little bit cooler than normal. Back up to a seasonable high of 27 for us on Friday. Increasing clouds during the morning, slight chance of a few showers, but I'm not ready to put that rain icon in there just yet, Chris. And similar story on Saturday.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Chris.
You got it.
In sports, the main draw of the National Bank Open gets underway tomorrow, but many of the stars were on hand today, and that includes 2019 champion Bianca Andreescu. The past 5 years since that win haven't been easy for the Canadian tennis star, and as Greg Ross tells us, she is hoping that being back on her home turf will help her reinvigorate her career.
There's something about the National Bank Open that just feels like home for Bianca Andreescu.
Sure. I mean, I grew up on these courts, so being back always brings nostalgic feelings.
It's also the place she did this. Andreescu was the first Canadian woman to win the national championship in 50 years. That same year, in fact, just a month later, she did this. Her title at the U.S. Open made her the first Canadian to ever win a singles Grand Slam, but she has not been able to rise to that level since.
Regarding the past 5 years, definitely not the easiest career, I would say.
The COVID pandemic, injuries, and a mental health break from playing have all taken a toll on her career. She says at times she's considered quitting.
I've been counting my blessings even through the hard times, and that's honestly what's gotten me to the point of not wanting, as harsh as it sounds, quit the sport, because it was very brutal at some point.
She says the support of fans has also helped keep her going.
A lot of people came to watch my practice yesterday, and I made sure to stay after my practice to, talk to them, sign autographs and stuff, just interact with it, because it really means a lot.
She's a huge name, and she's awesome to the fans. Like, she's super friendly, so the kids love her. Yeah, she's really kind.
It's really lovely seeing her because she has so much emotion that she plays with.
Oh yeah, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would like to see her do really well.
This is only Bianca's 5th tournament back after returning from a 10-month break because of injuries. In June, she made it to the finals of a tournament in the Netherlands. She says that has given her confidence that she can not only compete this week, but she believes she can win. Her first match is tomorrow night. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Turning now to future tennis stars, and Tennis Canada served up a clinic today in Toronto that paired up pros with kids looking to learn the sport. All right, so this is the second year youth clinics have been held in partnership with the National Bank Open. Rebecca Marina, the 2023 Billie Jean King Cup champion, was on hand showing the kids the fundamentals today. Participants also were given a racket and their own set of tennis balls to take home. Residents in a midtown Toronto neighborhood are fighting back against a condo project that was just approved to be 3 stories higher than originally planned. The developer justified the change, calling it a minor variance, but the Neighborhood Residents Association says there's nothing minor about it, and it's part of a larger trend happening across the city. Nama Weingarten has more.
For Leaside residents, the minor variance of adding 3 floors to a proposed building here isn't sounding so minor. So much so, they plan to take their fight over this change to the city's ombudsman.
It's more than frustrating, it's an erosion of democracy.
At the center of this dispute is a residential tower proposed on Bayview Avenue, right by the new Leaside stop at the Eglinton LRT. The developers, called the Gupta Group, struck a deal with residents associations and the city for a 22-story building stretching over 5 lots. Then, in June, 3 months after the deal was made, they applied for a minor variance that would add 5 stories to the project. They were approved for 3, which is expected to add 33 more units. It will be the tallest building in the area. CBC reached out to the Gupta Group, but hasn't heard back.
But if you put that on this street, that's a 6-story building. Does that sound minor? No, I don't think so.
Here's how this works. Even after a developer makes a project agreement with the city, they can go to a committee of adjustments. They usually deal with residents who want to make small changes to their properties, like adding a few extra meters to a fence. That's called a minor variance. But residents associations say that in the past year, developers have been using this to increase the size of their projects long after deals are struck. Dave Wilkes, who represents the region's developers, says he hasn't heard of this happening among his members, but they're becoming more conscious about maximizing the amount of units in a project.
There's no shame in that investment creates jobs and provides housing. But where I focus on from a density point of view is that we need to be leveraging areas like transit stations.
2 other examples of this happened on Bloor West. One minor variance request to add 5 stories was denied because it wasn't seen as that minor. Caroline Samuel from the Committee of Adjustments says that for a request to be approved, it needs to align with the city's official plan and zoning laws, be an appropriate use of land, and actually be minor in the eyes of the committee.
There's no threshold of is 3 stories minor versus 5 stories minor. You have to look at both the quantitative and qualitative perspective, right?
She says provincial regulations once stopped developers from going to the committee for 2 years after striking a deal with the municipality. Those restrictions were lifted last year, and that change also prevents citizen groups from appealing decisions made by the committee in a traditional way.
Here's a look at the disastrous day on the markets. The Dow dropped 1,033 points, its worst day since 2022, and the plunge coming amid fears of a U.S. economic slowdown. Now, here at home, the TSX and the dollar did not trade today for the civic holiday. We'll be right back. Today at Hanlan's Point Beach, city dignitaries and members of the LGBTQ2S+ community unveiled a new commemorative plaque. It marks Canada's first Pride event, a picnic at Hanlan's that was held 53 years ago. Brittany Billette was at the ceremony and has more.
This newly unveiled plaque marks a sunny and gay day on August 1st in 1971 at Hanlan's Beach. Organizers and attendees say the humble event would go on to mark the country's first public pride event. Reverend Dr. Sherry DeNovo was there on that historic day.
So it really was the first Pride. I hold it up as that because Pride has always been about joy in politics.
Toronto Gay Action put on that picnic 53 years ago in August, and later that same month, the group would help organize the We Demand rally. It was the first big gay rights demonstration in Canada. Marches were held in Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal.
The plaque really shows that people are listening, people are starting to take note that queer history matters.
Organizers say Hanlan's Point has been a queer space for over a century, but it was only in 1999 that the city officially allowed nude bathing, thanks to the efforts of lawyer Peter Sim, who was named on the plaque.
I had the idea of creating the official clothing optional zone at Hanlan's Point Beach, and I did the research and wrote the report, which ended up convincing City Council.
Then in 2002, the city officially recognized parts of Hanlan's as a clothing optional zone with a ribbon cutting featuring then City Councillor Olivia Chow.
I'm here now celebrating the Rainbow Road and the flag to say this is a queer space and let's remember and also celebrate.
The petition for the plaque was spearheaded by Friends of Hanlan's, and the event was done in collaboration with Heritage Toronto. Organizers say the event is a reminder that pride gatherings are a form of activism and the fight for gay and trans rights is far from over. Brittany Billette, CBC News, Toronto.
For many visitors to Parliament Hill, it used to be a must-see tourist attraction, but it's been more than a decade since the cat sanctuary behind Centre Block shut down. Now the last surviving member of the former cat colony is dealing with health issues. CBC's Olivia Stefanovich brings us that story.
Meet Cole, the last surviving member of Parliament Hill's beloved cat colony, who once put his name forward for Prime Minister.
He wasn't partisan. He was all for a coalition government.
At the ripe old age of 16, Cole is just as curious and affectionate as when Danny Tarozzi first met him, volunteering at the House of Commons Feline Sanctuary. This was the Cat's Meow, just across from Centre Block. This hill overlooking the Ottawa River is where Cole used to call home. For years, the cats on the hill brought joy, greeting visitors from around the world.
That's a cat.
But now Tarozzi needs some help in returning that joy back to Cole as he recovers from a battle with an aggressive salivary gland cancer.
For now, the cancer is gone, but because it's an aggressive form of cancer, it could come back. So he's going to be monitored every 2-3 months here.
Even with pet insurance, the bills are piling up in the thousands of dollars. And Tarozzi hopes the public will come to Cole's rescue.
It's just such a heartwarming thing. I mean, it's the only Cole phase out I don't support.
This is where it was. You can see the stone wall.
Brian Keynes was the last volunteer coordinator for the cat colony until a successful spay and neutering campaign saw its numbers dwindle and the sanctuary shut down in 2013.
Oh, I still miss the cats, and it's certainly part of the lore of the city, and I think it's part of the lore of Parliament Hill as well.
Their hope, Cole's connection to the hill will start an outpouring, and he'll get a few more lives to stretch, carrying on a piece of Parliament history. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.